Hello, this is a behind the scenes video for my new short film, Away from the Ocean, Crashing into Shore. I'm going to split this into three parts, I think. In this video, I'm going to talk about the pre-production and the production, so the writing, and then also the trip itself, and then some stuff that I shot afterwards. And then in another video, I'm going to talk about specifically shooting on Super 8 film, how I shot on Super 8 film, and then developed it and scanned it at home by myself. And then in the third part, I'm going to talk about the VFX in the film as well. So it's a film that I made completely by myself. I shot it in Croatia while I was hitchhiking for a week. If you want to see more about the hitchhiking part of it, there's a full YouTube series on my other channel, which you can see me hitchhiking. But in this video, I'm going to talk more about the filming side of it, how I found the locations, how I shot in the locations, and then also, like afterwards when I got back, doing some reshoots and stuff like that. Yeah, cool. So before I left, I came up with some initial ideas about what I wanted the film to be about, which mostly revolved around the Alan Watts quote, "We are the universe experiencing itself," which I think is a misquote, but I don't know. And that was something that was on my mind a lot in my previous hitchhiking trip. And so I thought it would be a good thing to kind of explore in this. Other than that, there wasn't too much pre-production involved. I didn't write anything down really. I kind of wanted it to be kind of apocalyptic, but not too much. I don't know. I kind of figured that I'd go and figure it out, which is kind of what ended up happening. So yeah, onto the production. So the reason I chose Croatia as a place to go is because I went on Skyscanner and basically just looked at what the cheapest place was to fly to from London. And it was Zadar in Croatia, which is on the coast. And then I decided to figure out what route I would take hitchhiking. So I found this abandoned monument on a hill called Petrova Gora. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Which is kind of in the middle of Croatia. And so I decided I'd hitchhike up to Petrova Gora and then come back down, coming back through the mountains. Unfortunately, I ended up not being able to go through the mountains because it took much longer to get up to Petrova Gora than I thought it would. I still generally stuck to my route, which was mostly along one road. And then along the way, I just tried to film whatever I could if I found any cool locations or anything. But Petrova Gora, which is the kind of big monument, is the only location that I'd planned out before getting there. I'd kind of seen pictures of the abandoned watermill online, but didn't have any specific plan to actually go there. It just happened that I ended up getting dropped off kind of near to where it was and walked down to him. But yeah, chronologically, I started in Zadar, which I don't think there's any of in the film other than some stuff that I shot on Super 8 in the town centre. And then I hitchhiked up towards this place, Obervac, which is a little town on a river. But on the way, I got dropped off by this guy, and he dropped me off just next to the road. And I could see on my map that there was a bigger road, kind of a little bit off of where I was. But I didn't want to walk along the road that I'd been dropped off on because there was no path next to the road. So I tried to find a shortcut. And along that shortcut, I happened upon the motel that's in the film, just in a big abandoned building. I didn't know it was there. I didn't see it on Google Maps. I just found it. That was on day one. So I ended up just walking around there. There was some other people around, some cyclists turned up. But it was mostly just me walking around for about an hour and a half, getting shots where I could. So then I kept hitchhiking up and ended up in Slun.
Hello, it is 7 in the morning.
Which is where the watermill is. So I went down to the watermill. It was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so there was still plenty of time to film. So I shot a bunch of stuff, and then I was going to keep going, but I ended up camping next to the watermill for that night, which is where I got then. And there's a shot of the moon, got that there as well. And then the next day is about an hour and a half walk along the river where I shot some other stuff. Like I think there's a shot of a boat in the film. And I also shot some stuff in the woods, but I didn't end up using it. And then at the end, there's the castle, which is in the film. And then from there, I tried to hitch further up towards Petrova Gora. I was waiting next to the road for about 7 hours, which was pretty tough. But eventually got a ride up to a little bit out of the way, but I didn't get up to Petrova Gora that day. I think I ended up camping next to the road that day. And the next day, I got up to Petrova Gora, got taken up there by some young guys. They're listening to Central C in the car, driving very fast. I think they were just going up to smoke and drag race, because where I ended up camping actually was a kind of car park where people clearly went and raced their cars or drifting around or whatever. But they stayed down at the bottom, and I went up to the monument. There were a few people around, but it was pretty empty. You can go inside the monument, I think, but you've got to go in through the basement, which I didn't really want to do, because it was a bit dodgy, especially by myself. Apparently, it's falling apart inside. You used to be able to get in through the front door, but then there was some Netflix series that was filmed there, so they closed it up. But yeah, so I just shot mostly from the outside, bit on the Super 8, and then I started coming back down. So then on the last night that I was in Croatia, I ended up camping in an abandoned campsite just outside of Zadar, which ended up being a dogging car park. So there were lots of noise during the night, and lots of car horns and hazard lights turning on and off. But what was good about that car park is there was this beautiful view of the sunset, which is how the film ends, is with that sunset. So I'm pretty happy that I think it was worth the camping in a dogging car park. And then I got the flight back from Zadar, so it was a week in total. The whole trip cost €20, which was money that was left over from a hitchhiking trip that I did in summer. So then the rest of the stuff was filmed around Zadar in the actual city on Super 8. And I know a few pickup shots that I did when I was back home. So my garden at my uni house was very overgrown, so I figured I could just use the long grass there, laid in that. I did some shots for that. Let me do another zoom here. And then the other thing that I want to talk about is a contraption that I made, which I made for a film called Experiments of Colour and Substance, which I did while I was at uni. I was the gaffer and VFX artist on that. But then I figured I could use it in this, and it's, you can see I've got it here. It's this cardboard contraption, and it's basically a cardboard box with a bunch of LEDs, very taped inside. And then, oh god, and then if I can plug it in, here we go. I thought I'd broken. So this is the contraption, which put your face in. It can kind of light you up from get some kind of moving lights, which is pretty cool. I have a remote somewhere, but you can also use an app, which means you can change the light color and the speed and the effect that's on it. But I don't know where that remote is right now. But you can still see how it works. And I'll put the actual clips that I used in the film. These are really short clips, literally like 15 frames per shot. Maybe a little bit more, but yeah, not long. That was something I made for Experiments on Colour and Substance, and then I figured I might as well use it in this as well, just for some kind of short shots during the kind of intense scenes. So a little bit about what I shot on. So the film was shot on this camera, which is the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, and then I mostly used two vintage lenses, which are this, which is the Pentacon electric 2.8 29mm lens, and then also on my Helios 44M, which is a 58mm lens. But on the Blackmagic, because it's a micro four thirds sensor, it has about a 2 times crop. So that means the 29mm becomes almost a 60mm, and the 58mm becomes like 116mm. So they're quite long lenses. I also had this lens, which is what I'm shooting on right now, which is, I don't actually know what it is. It's a 35 to 100 Lumix lens, which came with the camera. And then I also used a 14 to 42, I think, kit lens, which came with my old Panasonic Lumix G7, which unfortunately that lens broke on the trip. That's why I'm not shooting on it now, and why I'm shooting through a mirror, because otherwise this lens would be too long. So I don't have a wide angle lens anymore. And for a lot of the trip I couldn't use the 14mm because it was kind of in the process of breaking. So I don't know how many 14mm shots there are in the film. I think the one at the dam might be a 14mm. The first shot of me sat next to the lake or the sea, I think that was 14mm. Just towards the end, so that must have been like the last shot before the lens died. But yeah, mostly it was shot on the vintage lenses, which is for two reasons. The first is because it's, a big theme of the film ended up being decay and kind of history. So I guess it makes sense to shoot on vintage lenses, and also because those are the lenses that I've got, because they're cheap. You can buy vintage lenses very cheap. I don't think I've spent more than 20 quid on any of these lenses. And then I've got an adapter for M42 to micro four thirds. So it just made sense to shoot on those lenses. And then obviously the kit lenses that came with the cameras that I have. Yeah. And then I'll talk more about the stuff that's shot on Super 8, because I think that's its own thing. But for that I shot, I have the camera with me right now, but it was on a Nikon Super Zoom Super 8 camera, and then shot on Kodachrome 40 film, which is I'll get into what all that is in another video, but yeah, that's what that was shot on. So that's all for this part. Like I said, there'll be 2 more parts, which will come out next week and the week after. But yeah, if you haven't watched the film already, go watch that. It's out on my YouTube channel. So yeah, thanks for watching. Goodbye.